Introduction. In this realm, there exists no conflict of martial spirits, only the pinnacle of magic birthed from generations of evolution, where myriad schools of thought vie for supremacy amidst a chaotic world. Li Feng, a prodigious student of science from Earth, unexpectedly finds himself reborn in this extraordinary world during an experiment on time and space. How will he stir the currents of fate once more? Chapter 1 Prologue. In ancient times, monstrous beasts enslaved humanity, subjecting them to immense suffering. It was during this dire epoch that the human ancestor, Suiren, discovered fire through friction, heralding a celestial phenomenon as divine flames engulfed the land. Suiren, the progenitor of magic, pioneered fire magic, granting humanity a glimmer of self-preservation amidst an era when beasts feasted upon human flesh. Subsequently, the heavenly sovereign Fuxi emerged, establishing celestial magic to discern the heavens and predict fortunes. The goddess Nuwa created earth magic, enabling humanity to carve out their own territory, laying a solid foundation for their rise. Following this, the earthly sovereign Shinong introduced wood magic, alleviating the suffering of hunger and illness that plagued humanity. Then came the Emperor Qin Yuan, who innovated metal magic and developed magical arrays, bestowing humanity with the capacity to suppress the beasts. Great You mastered water magic to mitigate the calamities of floods. In the twilight of the Shang dynasty, the Western Duke Ji Chong, later known as King of Zhou, observed the celestial bodies and authored the timeless masterpiece I Ching. A celestial phenomenon occurred, and the stars shone brightly, elevating magic to a new echelon known as the saint level. The forces of West Qi rose against the tyrant Zhao. The army of West Qi surged forth like a tidal wave, and days later, they arrived at the capital of the Shang dynasty, Chaoga. The city gates swung open, and a tide of 40,000 monstrous creatures and 1,000,000 Shang soldiers poured forth, encircling the 200,000 troops of West Qi. Standing atop the city walls, King Zhou embraced the fox demon Daji, cursing the soldiers of West Qi before ordering a full-scale assault. As disaster loomed over West Qi, King of Zhou, guided by the stars, approached with determination. Draped in white, King Wen cast a cold gaze and enumerated the heinous crimes of King Zhou. Countless celestial phenomena enveloped Chaoga, resembling a tapestry of stars. The stars fell like a meteor shower upon Chaoga, each one striking the beasts and sparing humanity. 40,000 beasts perished, with only one of the 8 great demon sovereigns escaping. On the battlefield, blood flowed like a river. King Zhou met his demise, and 1,000,000 Shang soldiers surrendered. Future generations would extol King of Zhou. He single-handedly vanquished the beasts and secured peace for the realm. Later, King Wen bequeathed the throne to King Wu, who devoted himself to the study of the I Ching, living for 5 centuries. From that time forth, no one else ascended to the saint level. The era of diverse philosophies flourished, a pinnacle of magical prowess. Taoist Laozi introduced wind magic. Confucius developed light magic. Mozi pioneered alchemy. Military strategists advanced magical arrays, alongside various other schools. This was an age of unparalleled rivalry among the sages, a vibrant epoch of magical brilliance. In such a time, one demon sovereign of the serpent race, who fled after the wars of Shang and Zhou, underwent 8 centuries of cultivation to ascend to demigod status, seeking vengeance for the downfall of his kin. The power of a demigod far surpassed that of the human saints, even overshadowing King Wen himself. Regrettably, he encountered the zenith of human magic, arriving in a grandiose manner. Yet before he could demonstrate his might, he was obliterated by the united strength of the myriad sages. Of course, the might of a demigod should not be underestimated. Several sages fell, while the rest sustained grave injuries and retreated to recuperate. The age devoid of saints marked the zenith of the empire. During the era of the 100 sages, various feudal lords had to tread cautiously, fearing the wrath of the sages, lest they invoke calamity upon their nations. Not every sage was as amiable as Confucius or Laozi. While the sages were in seclusion, Emperor Qin Shi Huang seized the opportunity to rise, creating dark magic and unleashing an army of the undead to unify the 6 states. Upon unification, he established the first year of the magical calendar. The Emperor of Qin, having achieved dominion over half the world, also reached the saint level himself, a man of exceptional talent and boundless ambition who turned his gaze toward the 100 schools. Unfortunately, the sages emerged from their seclusion, Confucius and Laozi had even advanced further into demigod realms. Fearing these two, Emperor Qin Shi Huang accorded them the highest honors, commissioning Confucius to construct the Jixia Academy, attracting scholars from all schools to distill their wisdom, classifying magical realms into 10 tiers. Magic Apprentice, Magic Scholar, Magician, Grand Magician, Magic Master, Magic Tutor, Grand Magic Tutor, Legendary Realm, Saint Level, and Demigod. Emperor Qin Shi Huang was displeased, for although the talents from the Jixia Academy would serve him, he abhorred the sensation of being threatened. In his dissatisfaction, he led his army to annihilate the Xiongnu and various nations in the western regions. After subduing neighboring countries, he discovered that there were indeed distant nations in the western territories, broadening his horizons and igniting his ambition to conquer the entire world. Emperor Qin Shi Huang, filled with excitement, retained his ambition undiminished. Yet, the vast territory and scarcity of capable individuals compelled him to employ the talents from Jixia Academy for his own purposes. The Eastern Emperor, Qin Shi Huang, clashed with the formidable Alexander the Great of the West, and their magical armies engaged in fierce battles for a full 50 years until Alexander's demise marked their defeat. The emperor, ruling over half the globe, ascended to the status of a demigod, yet remained unsatisfied, for the lifespan of a demigod was merely 3,000 years, while he yearned for godhood and eternal life. He led his army against the demon race, seeking to uncover the secrets of their longevity. The demon race, regrettably, encountered one of humanity's most powerful emperors, succumbing to servitude and becoming prisoners. From the demon's ancient texts, Emperor Qin Shi Huang indeed discovered the secrets of immortality. In primordial times, the demon race dominated the East, with the demon emperor Dongwang Tai establishing the supreme demon court. He sought to refine the demon banner and control the demon race, aspiring to transcend into godhood. Yet he failed, leading the demons into decline. As the world transformed, humanity emerged, establishing magic and seizing the opportunity to rise. Emperor Qin Shi Huang, having refined the demon emperor Dongwang Tai into a being of the undead, gained an even clearer understanding of the truth. Ultimately, Qin Shi Huang's endeavors could be seen as both a success and a failure. His success lay in achieving immortality, yet his failure was in not attaining godhood. Emperor Qin Shi Huang did not seek to refine the world. Rather, he aspired to transform it into a realm of the undead, a transgression that invited the united wrath of the 100 schools against him. This conflict was later dubbed the Sacred War. As the sages fell, the heavens wept, and this clash shattered the very fabric of reality. Upon realizing his impending failure, Qin Shi Huang transformed into a lich, leveraging the demon race's heritage to forge a small world of the undead, where he was sealed by the sages, unable to escape. After the cataclysmic battle, the sages understood their fate, their lifespans waning. Confucius of the Confucian school, Laozi of the Taoist school, Lu Buwei of the miscellaneous school, Suanzi of the military school, Giguzi, Mozi of the Mahis school, Han Fizi of the legalist school, and other luminaries collaborated to establish the sacred realm, mending the damage wrought by their great conflict. As the sages fell, Qin's dynasty crumbled, and the Jixia Academy disbanded. 500 years into the magical calendar, this year would be remembered as the year of the sages' twilight. From henceforth, humanity once again plunged into an era of turmoil. There emerged formidable leaders such as Liu Bang, Xiang Yu, Yang Jian, Zhao Kuangyin, Zhu Yuanzhang, Genghis Khan, Nurhaci, and Napoleon, who divided the dominion of the Qin dynasty and established the Han, Chu, Sui, Song, Ming, Great Yuan, Great Qing in France. There was also Jehovah, who, having been educated in Confucian thought from a young age, was a prodigy who birthed a new faith from Confucian culture, Christianity, venerating the sage Confucius as God. In the West, Siddhartha Gautama, influenced by Taoism, transformed Tao into Buddhism, founding that faith. Taoist figures such as Zhang Sanfeng and Yuan Tiangang, alongside legendary Confucians like Dong Zhuo, Cheng Yi, Zhu Shi, and Wang Yangming, emerged. Chapter 2. Zhao Yun and Wei Qing. In the Grand Han Empire, in the county of Julu, there lived a man named Zhang Jiao, who inherited the dark grimoire from the first emperor and forged an army of the undead. In the year 984 of the magical era, the inept Liu Bang was under the control of the cunning Empress Liu, who persecuted loyal ministers, plunging the common folk into misery. Zhang Jiao, a false saint and dark sorcerer, rose in rebellion in Julu, proclaiming the slogan, "Heaven must perish," and the yellow sky must rise. The Han dynasty was engulfed in chaos, as various feudal lords began to suppress the uprising. By the year 986 of the magical era, the Han army, now led by the General Dong Zhuo, besieged the Yellow Turbans in the city of Guangzong. Within the Han army's encampment, in a central tent, a curious sight unfolded. A 6-year-old child seated in the center, flanked by two 14-year-old youths facing him. The presence of a child in such a crucial military location hinted at an extraordinary background. This child, surnamed Li and named Feng, was the grandson of Dong Zhuo and the son of Li Ru, serving as the protagonist of our tale. Li Feng was not originally from this world. He was the youngest and most brilliant scientist on Earth. An accident during his temporal research led to his unexpected arrival in this realm, where he became the son of Li Ru, named Feng by his grandfather Dong Zhuo, a name signifying nobility and virtue, reflecting Dong Zhuo's hopes for his potential. Legend has it that upon his birth, a phoenix circled overhead, heralding his arrival with its cries, thus justifying his name. Years prior, Dong Zhuo encountered the legendary sorcerer Nanhua Zhenren, who foretold that he would rise to a position of great power, but would bear only daughters, never a son. Skeptical yet intrigued, Dong Zhuo observed that he had indeed fathered 3 daughters but no sons. His eldest daughter, Dong Xiao, married Niu Fu and bore a son named Niu Gao. His second daughter, Dong Rong, wed Li Ru and gave birth to Li Feng. The youngest daughter, Dong Huang, married the famed General Li Guang, producing twins named Li Bai and Li Jing. Dong Zhuo held a particular fondness for Li Feng, nurturing him as a potential successor. Accompanying Dong Zhuo into battle against the Yellow Turbans, Li Feng sought to prepare for a future of dominance, hoping to gather talent amid the conflict. Fortune smiled upon Li Feng as he encountered 2 renowned figures from history, Zhao Zilong of Changshan and Wei Qing, one of the pillars of the Han dynasty. Alongside them were Wei Qing's 10-year-old sister, Wei Zifu, and his 1-year-old nephew, Hu Zhubing. The forces of history were undeniably strong, and Li Feng marveled at his serendipitous meeting with Wei Qing. Without further ado, Li Feng welcomed them into his fold. At this point, Zhao Yun and Wei Qing were merely wind elemental martial apprentices, still relatively weak, yet their potential was immense. Li Feng believed they would undoubtedly reach legendary heights in the future. The art of martial magic, an unparalleled close combat discipline, was a practice pioneered by Xiang Yu, the overlord of Chu, integrating magic into one's very being. Martial magic is categorized into 10 realms: martial apprentice, martial warrior, martial master, great martial master, martial guide, martial mentor, great martial mentor, legendary realm, saint realm, and demigod. The requirements for practicing martial magic are remarkably low, necessitating only years of integrating magical elements into oneself. As the noble families dominated the magical training methods, martial magic swiftly permeated the common populace, becoming widely practiced. Currently, the overlord Xiang Yu stood as the foremost expert in the realm of false saints, unmatched in single combat. His representation of the overlord's legacy deeply attracted the masses to the pursuit of martial magic. Though martial magic was widely embraced by the common folk, the desire to master true magic, an emblem of nobility, remained. Those capable of wielding magic commanded respect and fear. Within the tent, Li Feng inquired with a youthful voice, "Wei Qing, what are your thoughts on the upcoming battle against the Yellow Turbans?" Truly, he was uncertain of the outcome. Historically, Zhang Jiao had succumbed to illness, yet now he stood as a false saint. What ailment could befall him? To Li Feng's left, a youth clad in azure responded, "My lord, Zhang Jiao's reckless pursuit of dark magic will inevitably attract the ire of formidable foes, sealing his fate in failure. His survival thus far, even as he has reached the false saint realm, is permitted by those at the pinnacle of the continent. Even if Zhang Jiao were to shatter the post-saint's curse and ascend to the saint realm, he would still meet defeat. In the aftermath of the saint's twilight, only false saints remained, with no one having breached the saint realm. Many prodigious talents had sought to penetrate this barrier, leading to their demise. It had been a century since anyone dared to challenge the saint realm. Li Feng's eyes sparkled with realization, his voice ringing clear, "I understand now. Certain false saints wish to transcend the saint tier without risking their lives. They have tacitly allowed Zhang Jiao's rise, hoping to glean insights from him, as he is the heir to the first Emperor Ying Zhang's dark grimoire, correct? This explains why my grandfather has laid siege but refrained from direct assault, granting Zhang Jiao time to prepare. Does it not?" "Ha ha!" A boisterous laughter erupted from outside the tent, My grandson is indeed clever. That is precisely my thought. The gruff voice entered the tent, reverberating in the air. It was Dong Zhuo, who heartily took his seat, embracing Li Feng and casting a gaze laden with menace toward Zhao Yun and Wei Qing, asserting his dominance. Zhao Yun and Wei Qing struggled to maintain their composure, perspiration beading on their brows. Li Feng, dissatisfied, exclaimed, "Grandfather, your voice is quite loud. My ears are still ringing." "Grandfather, these are the two talented individuals I have recruited from the outside, Zhao Yun and Wei Qing." Dong Zhuo chuckled, his fierce aura dissipating. "Very good. They can withstand 8 parts of this general's might. They are indeed worthy of the title of talent." Zhao Yun and Wei Qing knelt in gratitude. "Thank you for your praise, General. From now on, serve my grandson diligently." Dong Zhuo dismissed them without a second glance. Dong Zhuo held little regard for Zhao Yun and Wei Qing, having encountered countless talents. Unless they were experts of the 6th realm, they hardly warranted his attention. Were it not for their association with his grandson, he would not have deigned to acknowledge them. "Fenger, after wandering for a year, do you still remember your grandfather? You didn't even come to greet me first?" Dong Zhuo admonished with wide eyes. With tears in his eyes, Li Feng replied, "Fenger missed you dearly, wishing to see you every day, but I understand that you are a great general and cannot be easily disturbed. I must behave and not be a nuisance." Dong Zhuo planted a hearty kiss on Li Feng. "My dear Fenger has grown up and is so sensible." Li Feng and Dong Zhuo conversed warmly throughout the afternoon, resulting in Li Feng receiving a post as a minor officer, the 8th rank cavalry commander. After sharing a meal together, Dong Zhuo departed for other matters. Dong Zhuo was the first person in this world to acknowledge Li Feng. Li Feng felt immense gratitude and affection towards Dong Zhuo, who showered him with love and nearly spoiled him to the heavens. Throughout his life, any request Li Feng made was unfailingly fulfilled by Dong Zhuo. Thus, Li Feng was determined to alter the fate that awaited Dong Zhuo, as depicted in the romance of the 3 kingdoms, vowing to defy destiny and change his beloved grandfather's future. Chapter 3. Zhang Jiao in the city of Guangzong. The streets lay strewn with slumbering commoners, while skeletal sentinels and bone beasts patrolled the periphery. At the heart of the city, a gaunt old man clad in black sat atop a sinister altar, enveloped in a shroud of dark energy. This emaciated figure was none other than Zhang Jiao, who intoned incantations from an ominous tome, the Book of Darkness, which hovered in midair above the altar. Despite being encircled by 500,000 Han soldiers, Zhang Jiao remained unfazed, fully aware that anxiety served no purpose. Once his practice of dark sorcery had come to light, he had forfeited any hope of survival. Years ago, when Zhang Jiao first encountered the Book of Darkness, trepidation had gripped him, for it was a forbidden text. Yet, the heavens showed no mercy, treating all living beings as mere fodder. His village had met a tragic fate, and his beloved daughter had perished. Pushing him to the brink of despair, Zhang Jiao yearned to defy destiny and resurrect his daughter through the dark arts. As he ascended to the realm of a pseudo-saint, he uncovered the truth behind her demise. It was Liu Bang, the Han emperor, who had suffered grievous wounds from the hands of the tyrant Xiangyu. Now nearing the end of his days, Liu Bang sought to attain the saintly tier to prolong his life and had, through a twist of fate, bestowed the Book of Darkness upon Zhang Jiao, while covertly orchestrating the demise of Zhang's village and daughter, thereby coercing him into mastering the forbidden text. Zhang Jiao harbored a deep-seated resentment towards Liu Bang for selecting him as a pawn, loathing the emperor's ruthless disregard for human life. He understood that regardless of whether he achieved the saintly tier, death was inescapable, for the continent forbade practitioners of dark magic from transcending to such heights. A sardonic smile played upon his lips as he recognized himself as Liu Bang's chess piece. Yet, he vowed to make the emperor regret his choices. In the Han army's command camp, Li Feng observed the retreating figure of a striking young man, scarcely 20, exuding an aura of lethal intent. Having just returned from an external mission, he reported his findings with precision before departing. "Fenger," the general called out. "Yes, my lord," Li Feng replied respectfully. "You little rascal, unable to sit still. Go play, but do not stray far from the camp," Dong Zhuo jested. Li Feng acknowledged with a quick response before rushing out, eager to locate the young man, but he had vanished without a trace. With a sigh, Li Feng lamented his missed chance to cross paths with Cao Cao. Arriving at the Han military encampment, Li Feng hoped to catch a glimpse of the 3 brothers, Cao Cao and Liu Bei. However, they were frequently away in battle, leaving him perpetually unacquainted with them. Upon returning to his quarters, he found Zhao Yun and Wei Qing seated in silence, their eyes reddened. Zilong, Wei Qing, did you not go out to fight? Li Feng inquired, astonished. What has transpired to leave you in such a state? Zhao Yun, filled with righteous indignation, spoke with a quivering voice, My lord, I beheld countless legions of the fallen, and my heart grieves. These were the spirits of innumerable impoverished souls, transformed into mere shadows of their former selves. My hatred burns fiercely. Li Feng regarded the tearful Zhao Yun, sighing deeply. In this age of chaos, he had spent a year witnessing the brutal reality where the lives of the common people were worth less than that of dogs, slaughtered at whim, devoid of any sense of security. In his previous life in Xiliang, Li Feng had enjoyed a comfortable existence, remaining indifferent even upon hearing of such tragedies. Yet, after witnessing the abject plight of humanity in these turbulent times, a heavy weight settled in his heart. Li Feng, feeling the weight of being a time traveler, pondered what he ought to do, not solely for the sake of his family and himself, but also for the countless unfortunate souls teetering on the brink of despair. Sitting upon a blanket, he gazed into the distance, reassured that the common folk would soon relish better days. Such a time was not far off. His tone was resolute. The Han army had besieged Guangzong city for 7 days, and now, ominous clouds loomed overhead, heralding the moment of confrontation. In the midst of his slumber, Li Feng was roused by Zhao Yun, who informed him that his grandfather, Dong Zhuo, wished to see him. Confused, Li Feng wondered what could be so urgent. After freshening up, he accompanied Zhao Yun to the entrance of the main tent, only to be told that he needed to announce himself to enter. What a peculiar situation. A wave of trepidation washed over him, unsure of which esteemed figure had arrived. After a wait of 3 or 4 minutes, he was ushered inside. His grandfather, Dong Zhuo, sat with a dignified posture at the lower right, while a scholarly gentleman in his 30s occupied the lower left. An elderly man clad in scholarly robes sat above them. Li Feng respectfully bowed to his grandfather, who acknowledged him with a nod. Feng, this is your grandfather, and this is your grandfather's disciple. Internally, Li Feng's emotions surged like a tempest, yet his exterior remained composed. He sweetly addressed the elder. Great-grandson pays respects to grandfather, and bowed deeply. However, upon meeting Wang Mang, he hesitated, uncertain if he should address him as great-uncle given the generational gap. Greetings, great-uncle. Indeed, Wang Mang replied. As their first meeting, Wang Mang presented him with a scroll, proclaiming, This is a gift for you. The scroll contained a radiant protective shield capable of withstanding the attacks of a pseudo-saint for a quarter of an hour. A life-saving treasure, Li Feng cherished it dearly. Feeling his vulnerability in a world fraught with peril, previously hesitant to venture outside, the scroll now offered him a glimmer of hope, a means to endure until help arrived. Thank you, great-uncle. Li Feng expressed gratefully. Have you begun practicing magic? A voice of authority reverberated above him. Not yet, he replied, struggling against an overwhelming pressure. Why not? With great difficulty, he responded. Great-grandson harbors lofty ambitions. He wishes to open a lineage of thunder elemental magic. Dong Zhuo and Wang Mang exchanged astonished glances at the audacious declarations of the 6-year-old boy. The pressure intensified, and you think you can succeed? Countless have perished in pursuit of the thunder path. Li Feng trembled under the weight of their skepticism, yet he resolutely declared, They are they, and I shall succeed. Dong Zhongshu regarded his great-grandson with intrigue, captivated by the boy's unwavering confidence. He had witnessed numerous aspiring thunder elementalists fail. Their resolve often faltered when questioned about their potential for success. Suddenly, the oppressive atmosphere dissipated. Good. Excellent. Truly, you are my great-grandson, Dong Zhongshu proclaimed. This is the Dai Guangming Jing. Take it and cultivate diligently, do you understand? His tone was imperious, leaving no room for dissent. Under the admiring gazes of Dong Zhuo and Wang Mang, Li Feng suppressed the urge to leap with excitement and respectfully responded. Great-grandson shall not disappoint grandfather's expectations and will strive earnestly. After Li Feng departed, Dong Zhuo, puzzled, inquired, Father, how did you impart the supreme meditative techniques of Confucianism, crafted by the revered sage Kong, to Feng? He hesitated to add, I have yet to learn them myself. Wang Mang, equally bewildered, gazed at his mentor. Dong Zhongshu chuckled, responding, My great-grandson may indeed unlock the mysteries of the thunder element. Leaving Wang Mang and Dong Zhuo exchanging bewildered glances, Li Feng hastily returned to his quarters, instructing that no one be permitted to enter his tent, as he required a moment of tranquility. He refrained from perusing the Great Light Scripture, recognizing that his current excitement was ill-suited for a first reading. This manuscript, penned by the esteemed scholar Dong Zhongshu himself, would undoubtedly yield profound insights upon first encounter. And Li Feng did not wish to squander this opportunity due to his emotional fervor. seated quietly before his desk. Li Feng marveled at the revelation that Dong Zhuo was his grandfather. A staggering realization indeed, for he was a figure of monumental stature on the continent. Furthermore, Wang Mang, his disciple, would undoubtedly expedite Li Feng's ambitions to unify the Han dynasty. Unable to contain his elation, Li Feng erupted into hearty laughter, brimming with confidence for the future. Chapter 4. Li Feng meets Zhang Jiao. The ominous black mist enveloping Guangzong city cast a pall over the land, instilling dread in the heart. Countless soldiers advanced steadily towards the city, vanquishing the undead warriors, while numerous powerful beings concealed themselves nearby, eager to observe the unfolding drama. At this juncture, Li Feng found himself cursing fate, unable to comprehend his circumstances. Having momentarily rested within his tent, he awoke inexplicably on a foreboding altar, where an ancient figure resembling a skeleton loomed before him. Initially suspecting another bout of time travel, Li Feng surveyed the oppressive black mist. Realizing that within a mere 5 steps, he could not discern the city's inhabitants, and soon understood that he had entered the inner sanctum of Guangzong city. The skeletal elder before him was none other than Zhang Jiao. With caution and courtesy, Li Feng addressed Zhang Jiao as uncle. Amused, Zhang Jiao regarded the diminutive figure before him, initially tempted to eliminate this audacious child. However, upon recognizing the boy's tender age of 6, Zhang Jiao was reminded of his own daughter, who had met her untimely demise at that very age. Though tempted to use the boy as a pawn, Zhang Jiao refrained from taking violent action. Upon awakening, Li Feng's unexpected boldness in addressing Zhang Jiao as uncle, without any sign of fear, left the elder bemused. Zhang Jiao's voice, raspy like that of the underworld, echoed ominously. The old man could very well be your grandfather. How dare you call me uncle? Are you not afraid of death? Li Feng exhaled softly, relieved by the absence of malice. With a cheeky grin, he retorted, since you have not harmed me, does that imply you have no desire to do so at present? Quite perceptive, he observed, as he noticed Zhang Jiao's indifference. His gaze fell upon the dark grimoire upon the altar, and whether by design or happenstance, he exclaimed, is this the forbidden tome known as the Dark Grimoire? I have heard that after his cultivation, Emperor Qin Shi Huang remained quite the handsome figure. Dear uncle, have you perhaps practiced incorrectly? Zhang Jiao initially held no regard for Li Feng, yet a single utterance from Li Feng jolted him into awareness. Indeed, why had Qin Shi Huang managed to cultivate without issue while he had faltered? Gazing at the cunningly smiling Li Feng, who exuded an aura of darkness, Zhang Jiao pondered. Do you comprehend the reason? Li Feng, brimming with confidence, retorted, how could I know the reason if you do not permit me to glimpse the Dark Codex? Zhang Jiao found his argument valid. Inexplicably, he acquiesced to the young boy's request and revealed the Dark Codex to him. It was absurd, he thought, to trust a mere 6-year-old child. Within the Han army's encampment, upon receiving the report from Zhao Yun and Wei Qing, Dong Zhuo was consumed by fury upon learning of his beloved grandson's disappearance. Scouring the military quarters in vain for his grandson, he neglected to punish Zhao Yun and Wei Qing for their inadequate vigilance, instead seeking out Dong Zhuo. Upon hearing the news, a shadow of concern crossed Dong Zhuo's face. It seemed his intuition had been correct. Just a quarter of an hour prior, he had sensed an aura of legendary power within the camp, dismissing it at the time. Yet it turned out to be an intruder seeking his grandson. Dong Zhuo seethed with anger. Such audacity to act under his very nose was an affront to his dignity. He recognized this was undoubtedly the work of an enemy, a vengeful act. When a sage is provoked, the heavens tremble. The semi-saint Dong Zhuo extended his mental reach over a radius of 1,000 miles. Aside from the obscured traces in Guangzong city, nothing could escape his perception. He was determined to uncover who dared to challenge him. Within his expansive domain, 9 formidable auras emerged. Dong Zhuo ascended into the skies, arriving atop a hill, where he encountered a gathering of the continent's elite. Xiao He, Zhang Liang, and Han Xian from the Han state, along with Fanzong of Chu, Cheng Yi and Zhu Shi from Song, Wang Yangming of Ming, Lu Bowen, and Yuan Tiangang of Sui. This assembly represented the pinnacle of power on the continent. With a heavy sigh, Dong Zhuo lamented the fate of his great-grandson, realizing the peril he faced. Among this illustrious company, aside from the 3 from Han, the others could very well be the perpetrators. In Guangzong city, after perusing the Dark Codex, Li Feng silently commended Qin Shi Huang, recognizing him as a prodigy of unparalleled talent. Despite his current lack of cultivation, Li Feng had mastered all 8 schools of magic aside from the dark arts. His understanding of one school allowed him to grasp all, rendering him the most knowledgeable individual in magic theory in this world, despite his tender age of 6. In his past life, Li Feng had achieved the status of the world's preeminent scientist at the age of adulthood, a testament to his brilliance. In this life, had he chosen to, he could have already developed thunder magic, yet he refrained from pursuing such paths. Instead, his aspirations lay in the realms of space and time magic. After Li Feng concluded his examination, Zhang Jiao inquired, "What have you discerned?" Li Feng nodded, organizing his thoughts before speaking. Dark magic is the most enigmatic of all magics. It is not inherently malevolent. Evidence of this is found in the records of the first emperor. However, in his later years, driven by a desire for immortality, he resorted to the sacrificial arts. The dark grimoire does not entail a gradual and methodical cultivation process to establish a foundation. It demands immediate sacrifice, a toll that your body cannot endure, thereby jeopardizing your very life force. It feels as if an unseen power is siphoning away everything from you. Ultimately, one may even find themselves offering their own essence as a sacrifice. Zhang Jiao gazed in horror at Li Feng, pondering the conclusions he had drawn after perusing the text. Li Feng nodded in affirmation. Zhang Jiao felt as though the years he had devoted to cultivation had been in vain, akin to training a dog. What a disgrace. After a moment of silence, he inquired if there existed a remedy. Li Feng remained reticent. Zhang Jiao's expression darkened. The resurrection method inscribed in the dark grimoire was indeed authentic. It is true, but the individual resurrected would be akin to a mere shell of their former self. Even so, would you still wish to bring them back to life? Tears streamed down Zhang Jiao's face. A man seldom weeps, yet he found himself at a sorrowful juncture. All he had steadfastly upheld over the years was now ruthlessly shattered, rendering his existence ludicrous and absurd. At that moment, despair enveloped him, extinguishing any belief in survival. A tempest of wrath surged within him, and he yearned to annihilate this world. Li Feng spoke softly. "Uncle, if you desire to resurrect someone, you should primarily pursue the cultivation of light magic." Zhang Jiao paused, his gaze filled with newfound hope as he looked at Li Feng. Could light magic truly possess the power to revive the dead? Unbeknownst to Zhang Jiao, he harbored an unshakable trust in Li Feng. With a confident smile, Li Feng proclaimed, "Uncle, based on my deductions, should light magic be cultivated to the holy tier, one might conjure a grand resurrection spell, enabling the dead to rise once more. The holy tier, alas, has yet to manifest in the present day. Though it is absent now, it does not signify it shall remain so. Humanity is on a continuous path of advancement, not regression." Zhang Jiao could not fathom the source of the youth's confidence, nor could he comprehend why he placed such faith in Li Feng. Believing in Li Feng's words, he offered a wry smile. "Yet I fear my time is running out." Zhang Jiao turned to Li Feng, contemplating whether this young man before him could assist in realizing his fervent wish. Chapter 5. The Great Battle Outside Guangzong City. A fierce battle raged. Among the Han army, certain individuals stood out with remarkable brilliance. A burly man with a crimson visage wielded a green dragon crescent blade, shattering the undead with each sweep of golden energy. Beside him stood a rugged warrior, his face adorned with stubble, brandishing a formidable 8-foot serpent spear, his fiery aura sweeping all in its path. Behind them was a lanky man with unusually long arms, wielding a staff and orchestrating the battlefield, conjuring water shields to protect his soldiers. On the opposing side, Cao Cao utilized wood-based healing and control, his troops methodically dispatching the undead. Another warrior, reckless and fervent, unleashed earth-based magic, charging forward with abandon. Fan Zeng surveyed the battlefield, recognizing the two young men, Liu Bang's sons, were they not? Lu Che and Lu Xiao, merely 15 or 16 years of age, had already attained the stature of great magicians, adeptly employing magical formations. With such exceptional airs, Liu Bang could be at peace. Zhang Liang smiled, remarking, "It is said that the Overlord only cherished Yu Ji, which is indeed admirable, yet it is a pity he has yet to establish a lineage." S expression turned cold. The Overlord was an extraordinary talent destined for the sacred tier, so there was no need for your concern. Zhang Liang chuckled softly. "General Han, your intervention is required to eliminate the undead and mitigate significant casualties." Han Xian soared into the air, standing tall above the Han army. "I am Han Xian, a son of the Han army, and you shall heed my command." The soldiers of the Han army looked up at Han Xian with fervent admiration, their voices resonating through the heavens. With an insidious tone, remarked, "What a remarkable reputation you possess." "Haha." Xiao He's expression darkened slightly, gazing at Han Xian with a mixture of apprehension and respect. Indeed, Han Xian's accomplishments over the years had begun to overshadow the leader. Were it not for external threats, Liu Bang would undoubtedly have eliminated Han Xian. Zhao He, aware of S schemes, could not help but worry. Han Xian was far too formidable. Above in the heavens, the sky served as a chessboard, with soldiers as mere pawns, and Han Xian as the master strategist, consolidating the might of the army within himself. The soldiers of the Han army were, at the very least, martial apprentices. One alone was not terrifying, but the combined strength of 500,000 to 600,000 martial apprentices wielded in unison was truly fearsome. This strike was earth-shattering, undoubtedly reaching the sacred tier. With one blow, the undead were obliterated. This strike also reverberated through Guangzong city, dispersing the malevolent aura that had enveloped it, allowing the esteemed magi present to perceive the unfolding scene within. Dong Zhuo, with deep emotion, called out, "Feng." He then erupted in fury, addressing Zhang Jiao, a supposed master of the pseudo-sacred realm, would stoop to capturing a mere 6-year-old child? Do you not feel ashamed? Upon hearing Dong Zhuo's concern, Li Feng felt a warmth within. She glanced at Zhang Jiao, who smiled, though the malevolence in his demeanor suggested it would have been better had he not. In a voice as hoarse as the depths of the underworld, he sneered, "I am not so bored as to capture a little brat. I wonder who cast this child into my path. I owe them my gratitude." Zhang Jiao indeed wished to express thanks to the one who had delivered Li Feng to him, for without this person, he would have no hope of resurrecting his daughter. Attempting to use my hands as a weapon against me, I shall not comply with your wishes. I await the spectacle of dogs turning on one another, he laughed. Li Feng's countenance darkened. Who are you cursing? My grandfather is a dog, what am I? Upon hearing this, Dong Zhuo's fury intensified as he glared at and his companions. He cared not whether they were pseudo-sacred figures. All he knew was that his grandson had nearly fallen victim to them. Very well, you choose to disregard the rules. If you wish to endanger my grandson, do not blame me for seeking retribution against your descendants. If you possess the courage, keep him close. Otherwise, My patience does not imply I will tolerate bullying of my kin. If you dare disrupt the established order, let us engage in mutual destruction. Who fears whom? Dong Zhongshu's domineering and unruly words left the surrounding pseudo-sacred figures exchanging glances of astonishment. A threat, naked and unadorned. When had and his ilk ever endured such intimidation? They were indeed figures of the pseudo-sacred realm, yet they found themselves compelled to acquiesce to this threat. Dong Zhuo was correct. They could not remain by their descendants' sides at all times. Were it not for the fact that Dong Zhuo was the son of Dong Zhongshu, daring to issue such threats would have led to his swift demise. Amidst our discourse, who among us is unaware of your most fervent protectiveness, Dong Zhongshu? Who dares to provoke you? By heavens, who among us disregards the rules? If all were to engage in such folly, you would annihilate my esteemed progeny, and I would do the same to yours. How absurd. Thus, on the surface, we all appear to adhere strictly to decorum. Fan Zeng and a select few seethe inwardly, exclaiming, "How audacious! It is one thing to flout the rules, a transgression we have all secretly committed, yet at least ensure the aftermath is executed flawlessly, leaving no trace behind. This way, even if others suspect your involvement, they would lack the proof to confront you. What is the current state of affairs? No one has perished. Yet your grandfather has been caught red-handed. What a misfortune." These individuals, being astute, recognize the peril of being extorted by Dong Zhongshu, and thus they begrudgingly concede. Li Feng silently encourages her grandfather and ancestor, feeling a surge of pride for their audacity and prowess. She is also deeply moved by her grandfather, Dong Zhuo, who threatens the false sacred realm on her behalf. Observing the impending fury of the others, Zhao He hastily shifts the subject. "Zhang Jiao, cease your prattle. Regardless of the circumstances, you shall meet your demise today." Fan Zeng and Dong Zhongshu, aware of the broader context, encircle the city of Guangzong, preventing Zhang Jiao's escape. Zhang Jiao erupts in laughter. How laughable. Do I fear death? That scoundrel Liu Bang shall meet a dire end, utterly hypocritical, presuming to reign as king. Liu Bang is indeed a treacherous knave, Fan Zeng concurs. Zhao He interjects, "Zhang Jiao, do not merely engage in verbal sparring. Do the 10 false sacred realms possess such might? Allow me to witness their true power." As the darkened sky descends, Zhang Jiao suddenly attacks. The expanse of 1,000 miles is instantaneously shrouded in darkness, with screams resonating throughout. In the face of this ominous veil, the 10 vigilant false sacred realms erect a protective barrier, refraining from immediate confrontation with the dark sky. It has been nearly 5 centuries since the emergence of dark magic, and curiosity stirs within them. Feeling the corrupting aura of the dark sky, capable of easily annihilating those beneath the level of a sorcerer, they recognize that even at higher realms, some resistance may be possible. Intriguingly, This dark veil can obscure the spiritual powers of the false sacred realms, ensnaring their minds. Han Xin and Zhang Liang immediately contemplate the implications. Should the dark sky be unleashed in the midst of battle, it would undoubtedly secure victory, a formidable weapon of war. The Great Light Technique. Dong Zhongshu emanates brilliance, dispelling the darkness with an overwhelming radiance. Understanding the gravity of the dark sky's presence, he swiftly acts. For every second it lingers results in the loss of Han soldiers. On the altar, Zhang Jiao coughs forth blood, his pallid face breaking into a relieved smile. Great God of darkness, I, Zhang Jiao, today offer my very self in sacrifice, beseeching the mighty deity to grant me formidable power. Today, I shall transform into a demonic being. Chapter 6, Resurrection. Huzzah! Huzzah! Eerie sounds resonate across the heavens and the earth as Zhang Jiao completes his sacrifice. Blood, power, soul, vitality, delicacy, the echoing voice from the depths of the abyss sends shivers down the spine. Zhang Jiao cried out in agony, his frail body convulsed, the veins bulging prominently upon his skin, a network of blood vessels sprawling across his face. An endless stream of dark energy emanated from Zhang Jiao, my faithful servant. I have heard your plea. Surrender everything unto me, and I shall bestow upon you boundless power. No, you are not the god of darkness. You are the first emperor, Yingzheng. The onlookers gazed intently at Zhang Jiao, and upon hearing him invoke Yingzheng's name, their serene expressions shattered. All who heard Zhang Jiao's words were filled with dread, unable to believe their ears. How could this be? Wasn't Yingzheng vanquished by the myriad sages of the past? Those who were aware of Yingzheng's ceiling were gripped by sheer terror. Had he indeed broken free? Li Feng yearned to flee. Yet the overwhelming aura pressed him to the ground, rendering him breathless. The force emanating from Zhang Jiao was sufficient to subdue even the pseudo-saints, and despite being so close, Li Feng managed to survive, thanks to the mental fortitude bestowed by his mage training. As Zhang Jiao's power intensified, the world around him darkened, enveloped in an all-consuming gloom. Countless common folk, witnessing the ominous sky, fell to their knees, trembling in fear and anxiety. Numerous powerful beings gazed upon Guangzong city, their faces etched with seriousness. Zhang Jiao stood atop the altar, a tempest of black energy swirling around him, resembling a dark overlord. His maniacal laughter echoed, his fierce gaze fixed upon the 10 pseudo-saints. I have returned defying the heavens, yet I find myself without subordinates. Though you may not compare to my former followers, you, the pinnacle of this realm, shall suffice as my servants. Were they being belittled? Did he intend to enslave them, transforming them into undead? These illustrious figures, standing at the zenith of the continent, had never been subjected to such indignity. They were proud individuals, and in their current plight, they would not allow such affronts to go unchallenged. United under the oppressive force of Yingzheng, these representatives from diverse nations joined forces against him. It was astonishing that the 10 pseudo-saints were vanquished by a single strike from Yingzheng, as the overwhelming black energy surged towards them. Just then, a resplendent burst of multicolored light collided with the dark energy, illuminating the sky with a dazzling spectacle. Zhang Jiao, Yingzheng, beheld the arrival of Xiangyu. Standing amidst the radiant glow, wielding the overlord spear, exuding an aura of unparalleled might. His eyes blazed with the fires of battle. The vibrant aura of Xiangyu clashed with Yingzheng's dark imperial presence, neither side willing to yield. The pseudo-saints, arriving from afar, witnessed the monumental clash of energies, causing the heavens to shift. They stood agape, astonished. Could these truly be pseudo-saints? Was this level of power even conceivable? Doubt began to creep into their minds. Could they be mere impostors themselves? While they recognized Xiangyu, the identity of the other remained shrouded in mystery. The pseudo-saints present were all familiar faces. Upon further inquiry, I discovered that one of them was none other than Yingzheng, the first emperor, which left me utterly dumbfounded. A shared concern loomed. Had he been unsealed? This could spell disaster. The world was on the brink of monumental change. The other pseudo-saints kept their distance, observing the fierce clash between Yingzheng and Xiangyu. Yingzheng wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, intrigued. In a world devoid of original essence, you had forged your own path, attaining combat prowess capable of defying saints. A remarkable talent indeed. Alas, what a pity. Born in the wrong era. If only you were to submit to me, I could elevate you to the saintly ranks. Xiangyu regarded Yingzheng with a calm demeanor, tinged with a hint of disappointment. As the pinnacle warrior of the continent, his strength rivaled that of a saint. In a state of solitude, Xiangyu sought a worthy opponent, and his spirits lifted when Yingzheng emerged, for this was a legendary emperor, a chance for a true contest. Yet, After their encounter, disappointment washed over him. Though formidable, Ying Zheng was not his match. With a cold glare directed at the boastful Ying Zheng, Xiang Yu engaged in battle, sending him crashing onto the altar, which shattered into fragments. Li Feng exhaled in relief, narrowly avoiding disaster by hiding just in time. However, he felt he had overheard something extraordinary. The inability to ascend to the saintly tier in this realm stemmed from a lack of original essence. But what exactly was this essence? Li Feng's curiosity was piqued. As Ying Zheng lay on the ground, he heard Xiang Yu's dismissive remark. So weak. Fury surged within him. This body possessed barely a fraction of his true power. His ambition to conquer this world had now transformed into a desire for annihilation. He would obliterate this realm. Having remained in the realm of the undead for 500 solitary years, Ying Zheng was on the verge of madness, his mind fraying. Around him, thin cracks began to appear, unnoticed by all except Li Feng. His eyes widened in horror. What had he just witnessed? Spatial rifts. Tears threatened to spill from his eyes. What monstrous power must Ying Zheng wield at this moment? In his past life, Li Feng held a fascination with spatial rifts, understanding that their formation required immense force to tear through space. He recognized that the fabric of this world was remarkably resilient. Even the continent's strongest warrior, Xiang Yu, could not rend it asunder. Yet now, Ying Zheng Li Feng glanced at the group of pseudo-saints above, exasperated. Were they so oblivious as to ignore the chaos below? Just a single glance would suffice, yet they remained ensconced in idle chatter. Li Feng wished to remain silent, to observe quietly. Their lack of vigilance was bewildering, leading him to mistakenly judge them. It was not that the pseudo-saints were neglectful. Rather, they had already witnessed Ying Zheng's collapse and, finding him lifeless, felt a sense of ease. The pseudo-saints stared in astonishment at Xiang Yu. How could the legendary emperor be so swiftly subdued? Their shock was palpable. And with Ying Zheng no longer a concern, their focus shifted elsewhere. The false saints remained indifferent, leaving Li Feng no choice but to draw their attention. From his bosom, he produced the radiant scroll gifted by Wang Mang and activated it, its luminous energy captivating the gaze of the false saints above. They stared at Li Feng. Yet he internally cried out in frustration, "Why do you all look at me? Focus on Ying Zheng." Reluctantly, Li Feng pointed his pudgy little finger towards Ying Zheng. Following his gesture, the false saints beheld a widening rift in the void, from which a palpable sense of impending doom emanated, blanching their faces. They felt the urgency to act, yet were at a loss for how to respond. A cacophony of panic ensued, as they shouted, "Everyone, perish for me." Their roars echoed through the heavens. Chapter 7. The origin. Before the false saints could react, dark tendrils from the void ensnared them, paralyzing them mid-air. One by one, they were immobilized, with only a scant few managing to evade the grasp of the dark appendages. The sky darkened, ominous clouds coalescing into a colossal arrow aimed at the false saints below. A suffocating silence enveloped them, a foreboding sense of death looming. The formidable Xiang Yu wielded his spear, the Bawang gun, conjuring a vibrant lance that shattered the dark arrow. Ying Zheng chuckled. "One is insufficient. What of 10? In the midst of the false saints' terror, the heavens birthed 10 massive arrows. Xiang Yu's hands trembled, revealing the strain beneath his calm facade. The dark arrows exceeded his expectations, imbued with a mysterious force that was difficult to extinguish. This power invaded Xiang Yu's being, wreaking havoc on his body, compelling him to devote a portion of his magic to suppress it. After obliterating 4 arrows, bloodied and weakened, Xiang Yu was assisted to the ground by an ethereal elder, exuding an air of otherworldly wisdom. The brave warrior, though mighty, found himself in need of the elder's unparalleled defensive prowess. "Let the old sage hold the line," he declared with understated pride. "Zhang Daozhang, beware of the arrow's power," Xiang Yu cautioned. The venerable Zhang Sanfeng ascended into the heavens, a grand taiji symbol of red and blue light overshadowing the sky. How laughable! Ying Zheng scoffed, easily vanquished. He held contempt for the elder, believing that even Xiang Yu's extraordinary power could not withstand the encroaching darkness, let alone this frail, old man. Yet, to his astonishment, the dark arrows failed to pierce the taiji formation. Within the swirling red and blue energies, Ying Zheng sensed a force akin to the dark origin, the power of water and fire. This cannot be. He spat through clenched teeth. He had underestimated Zhang Sanfeng. 5 centuries ago, Ying Zheng sought to transform this realm into a world of darkness, merging with the dark origin to ensure his immortality as the sovereign of existence. The transformation into a realm of pure darkness would, of course, be opposed by the other origins. Lacking sentience, the origins instinctively resisted annihilation. Leveraging the myriad sages to thwart Ying Zheng, intending to subdue the dark origin instead. Ying Zheng is not to be underestimated. In such dire circumstances, he forged a realm of the undead, a realm steeped in pure darkness, amplifying the primordial force of darkness and suppressing other elemental powers. Consequently, the myriad sages and saints established a sacred realm to bolster their remaining elemental powers to combat the primordial force of darkness. The scattered sacred realms were nearly on par with the singular, pure realm of darkness, perhaps even inferior to the primordial force of darkness. Thus, there was no surplus of elemental power to be siphoned for the elevation of the pseudo-saint realm. Ying Zheng was acutely aware of this, and it was precisely this awareness that astonished him regarding how the old man managed to absorb elemental power in such circumstances. At this juncture, Zhang Sanfeng was equally astonished by the newfound prowess of his taiji, which had become exceptionally formidable, with defensive capabilities enhanced by threefold or more. Within the taiji, he sensed an augmentation of the elemental forces of water and fire. Why has there been no emergence of saint realms since the Holy War? Zhang Sanfeng scoured rare ancient texts and ultimately deduced one conclusion: primordial power. Yet, how does one possess primordial power? This remained elusive to Zhang Sanfeng, a master of Taoism. Zhang Sanfeng's comprehension of the cosmos, his unity with nature, and the creation of taiji allowed him to perceive the sparse primordial power lingering in the ether. However, being sparse, it would surely be insufficient to withstand the dark arrows conjured by the primordial force of darkness. This was Ying Zheng's miscalculation. By mobilizing a vast quantity of dark primordial power, the pressure against elemental resistance diminished, naturally allowing for surplus elemental power to support the opposition against Ying Zheng. Understanding the truth behind the dark primordial power, Ying Zheng smirked cruelly, eager to witness how much primordial power an unpurified body could endure. Dark clouds surged, and after Zhang Sanfeng thwarted 6 colossal arrows, another 10 dark arrows materialized. The pseudo-saints watched helplessly as Ying Zheng, with a mere wave of his hand, summoned 10 dark arrows, appearing remarkably at ease while they felt a wave of despair. However, Ying Zheng was not as composed as he seemed. Li Feng, lurking nearby, noticed the bloodstains concealed beneath his garments. Just as Ying Zheng posited, how much primordial power could a body unacquainted with its baptism truly endure? Zhang Jiao's body had not undergone such purification. Were it not for Ying Zheng's already godlike soul, this body would have succumbed under the overwhelming force of primordial power. Zhang Sanfeng struggled mightily, unable to contain the intense force, which severely wounded him as it overflowed. Under the pressure of the dark arrows, the taiji diagram began to fracture. The vibrant radiance of the multicolored spear clashed with the dark arrows. The resting Xiang Yu arrived to assist, witnessing the 2 bloodied figures uniting to repel Ying Zheng's third onslaught. Ying Zheng found himself troubled. Was it truly so arduous to obliterate a world? 5 centuries ago, the myriad sages and saints stood in defiance, and 5 centuries later, these 2 anomalies obstructed him once more. I do not believe in fate, nor do I believe in heaven. If heaven obstructs me, I shall obliterate it, he declared. Arise. Ying Zheng's blood gushed forth, staining the black garments of vivid crimson, his eyes brimming with blood, a truly terrifying sight. The pseudo-saints were overwhelmed with a torrent of thoughts, questioning why the same tactic was employed yet again. However, this assault by Ying Zheng was even more fearsome, as a multitude of colossal arrows, over 100, filled the sky, instilling dread in all who beheld them. The common folk in the distance wept profusely, fervently beseeching the heavens for mercy, hoping to be spared from divine retribution. Those privy to certain truths pondered in their hearts whether this was to be the end of the world. In the palace of Chu, a stunningly beautiful woman silently prayed for the protection of the overlord, hoping for a day when they might collaborate once more. Dong Zhongshu glanced at Zhu Shi and Wang Yangming, jesting, "Do you think everyone is as domineering as you?" Cheng Yi teased. Xiang Yu looked at Han Xin and laughed heartily. "Let us enjoy our cooperation." Han Xin regarded Xiang Yu with a complex expression, echoing, "Indeed, let us cooperate joyfully. Rest assured, we shall exert all our strength to heal everyone," declared the 2 wood-element pseudo-saints, Sun Simiao and Hua Tuo. Ying Zheng observed the group of pseudo-saints with disdain, finding their confidence laughable. Did they truly believe this was his ultimate move? He was prepared to sacrifice this body, even if it meant being sealed once more, to vanquish this band of pseudo-saints. When he broke free again, who could stand in his way to obliterate the world? Li Feng was astonished, recalling the sensations of playing online games in a past life. Zhang Sanfeng was the tank, absorbing damage. Xiang Yu was the warrior, while the mages provided support from the rear. Sun Simiao and Hua Tuo acted as healers, casting restorative spells. Chapter 8. The treasure. As Li Feng walked cautiously, he caught a whiff of an unusual floral fragrance, invigorating his senses. After undergoing a baptism of the thunder element's essence, his mental prowess as a grand mage solidified. Yet the effect of the fragrance diminished after the initial inhalation. This was somewhat alarming. After perusing numerous texts of the sages, Li Feng understood that solidifying one's mental energy was a crucial condition for ascending to the saintly tier. Stop, Li Feng commanded. The army shall obey without question. Master Uncle? Wang Mang turned towards the center of Zhang, a fleeting desire flickering in his eyes. The peculiar floral scent had also solidified a portion of his liquid-like legendary mental energy. Wang Mang realized what Li Feng was about to inquire but hesitated. Acquiring heavenly materials and earthly treasures required the means to enjoy them. He sensed no fewer than 50 presences akin to his own, alongside a beast surpassing his essence. Li Feng opened his mouth, struggling to articulate his thoughts. This was indeed unsettling. Over 50 beasts equivalent to the legendary tier, and to his dismay, one was comparable to the Pseudo-Saint tier. Was Shenanjia vast? How did it measure against the boundless sea? The strength of these beasts was rather formidable. The creatures, once severely wounded by Ying Zheng 5 centuries prior, had grown in power over the years, likely surpassing that of humanity. An ominous threat loomed. It is not that Li Feng is overly pessimistic about the situation. Rather, the reality has indeed deteriorated to an alarming extent. 5 centuries ago, the human race's holy realm far surpassed that of the demon race. Yet now, 500 years later, it is likely that the pseudo-holy realm experts of humanity have fallen below those of the demonic beasts. The fate of a clan is invariably determined by the strength of its peak experts. Li Feng reflects that perhaps he has been unduly anxious, considering that the demon race has yet to launch an attack. When soldiers come, they shall be met with warriors. When water arrives, it shall be concealed by earth. One must strive to strengthen oneself to possess the power of self-preservation when danger approaches. Let us go. While the demon beasts are absent, we must swiftly locate and retrieve Zhang Jiao's treasure. We must evacuate the Shenanjia at the earliest possible moment, Li Feng decisively proclaimed. Understood. Wang Mang was quite pleased with Li Feng's choice, recognizing the importance of assessing the situation and making the most advantageous decision for oneself. Upon realizing there was no formidable threat from the demon beasts, Li Feng and his companions quickened their pace, reaching a circular lake within half a day. Had it not been for Li Feng's guidance, who would have known that a lake lay hidden within? The trees surrounding the lake were thick and towering, more robust and higher than those nearby, effectively concealing the lake from view. The lake, spanning a kilometer, was adorned with lotus leaves, and the clear waters revealed fish swimming gracefully beneath the surface. Your Highness, is the treasure located here? Zhao Yun inquired with curiosity. I can confirm it is here. Li Feng replied. Master, can you locate it? He asked his elder. Wang Mang conducted a thorough examination, but ultimately conceded defeat. I cannot. I have scanned the lakebed with my spiritual energy and found no trace of the treasure. Zhang Jiao must have employed a treasure to obscure this place, preventing any spiritual probing. Li Feng shook his head, a mysterious smile gracing his lips as he produced a token. Channeling his spiritual energy into the token, it soared above the lake, causing the placid surface to churn and form a massive whirlpool. Li Feng retrieved the token and, addressing the astonished onlookers, commanded, jump in. Without waiting for their reactions, he was the first to leap into the whirlpool, followed closely by Zhao Yun and Wei Qing. Wang Mang was the last to enter, gazing in awe at the expansive space, filled with various flowers and plants. He was bewildered, uncertain of what this place was or why he felt such exhilaration. It seemed to him that a new era was on the verge of unfolding. Wang Mang's fervent gaze was fixed upon Li Feng, who, at that moment, resembled a captivating beauty, drawing his attention irresistibly. What a peculiar and inappropriate metaphor. As his subordinates began to transport the treasures, Li Feng exclaimed, Zhang Jiao truly is a remarkable talent. Establishing such a small space can serve as a secret realm for cultivation. Having acquired the Dark Codex, Zhang Jiao required an immense amount of energy to create a small world. Thus, he ingeniously devised a method to forge a small space for the storage of invaluable treasures. Creating a small space must also be quite challenging, I presume? What are the necessary conditions? Wang Mang inquired. 3 conditions. First, a pseudo-holy realm. Second, a place rich in elemental energy. And third, a special method of establishment. Do you find it difficult, Master? Wang Mang, perplexed, replied, Isn't this still challenging? Your first assertion pertains to the pseudo-holy realm. Those whose spiritual essence is nearly solidified are but a step away from attaining the sacred level. A feat accomplished by merely over 50 individuals in this world. Your second point concerns locations rich in elemental energy, observable only in certain unique areas. Regarding your third statement, the specialized techniques are closely guarded secrets. Who among us is capable of mastering them? He chuckled softly. Master, your perspective remains rather limited, lamented Li Feng. Wang Mang, unfazed, replied, You are a prodigy, I am not. I shall listen attentively. Master, the number of those who have achieved such feats is scant. What about in a decade? Li Feng continued. In 10 years, the primal force will return, and at that time, the essence of the world will undoubtedly amplify. While we may not be able to forge a space of 1,000 meters, a 100-meter expanse is certainly attainable. In 10 years, I shall undoubtedly reveal the unique techniques for space creation to the world. Wang Mang expressed his astonishment. You would truly share such knowledge. Li Feng, with a tone of somber foreboding, remarked, In 20 years, Emperor Qin Shi Huang will emerge from his seal, and malevolent entities from beyond will invade our realm. If we do not bolster our native strength, how shall we withstand the impending danger? When the nest is overturned, how can one expect unscathed eggs? Do you not comprehend this principle? In such times, selfishness is tantamount to courting death. Your words are noble, Wang Mang acknowledged, and Li Feng reveled in his admiration. Li Feng had long harbored the desire for Wang Mang to serve him, and this journey to the Zhang Jiao was intended to foster their relationship through increased interaction. Unbeknownst to you, Master, we have organized the treasures and discovered a frozen coffin, Zhao Yun reported. Wang Mang smiled, suggesting, Let us first examine the treasures amassed by Zhang Jiao over the years. That sounds agreeable, Li Feng replied, casting a fierce glance at Zhao Yun, who felt inexplicably bewildered and muttered softly, The prince's small eyes are rather endearing. Li Feng, incensed, was met with Wang Mang's hearty laughter. Within the chilling ice coffin lay a 6-year-old girl, her pale visage evoking deep sympathy. This was Zhang Jiao's daughter, Zhang Meng. Indeed, she was quite charming. Li Feng mused. Though I am not a virtuous man, I have promised your father to awaken you, and I shall fulfill that vow. As Li Feng surveyed Zhang Jiao's treasures, his gaze swiftly shifted to the array of books. Regardless of his past or present, money was never a concern for him. What he cherished was knowledge. It was through understanding that he sought to unveil the mysteries of the universe. One person's wisdom is limited, but 2 minds are greater than one, Li Feng reflected. His ambition to dominate the world stemmed not only from a desire to protect his loved ones, but also from a yearning to gather the world's strength to explore the universe's enigmas. Little did he know, the more knowledge he acquired, the more he felt compelled to conquer the world, to secure the interior before confronting external threats, lest he be hindered by those with a narrow vision. Chapter 9. Li Shizhen within the dense jungle, over 100 soldiers continuously traversed in and out, their backs laden with bamboo cages filled with treasures, while cradling ancient tomes in their arms. In the Shenanjia region, Li Feng perused a selection of books to pass the time. 25 artificial carts were filled with boxes, among which 17 were brimming with treasures, while the remaining 7 contained books. One cart, draped in fabric, concealed an ice coffin. My lord, the treasures have all been securely arranged, Wei Qing reported to Li Feng. Observing his sweat-drenched soldiers, Li Feng expressed his gratitude. You have all worked diligently. Rest assured, I shall reward you with a chest of jewels to distribute among yourselves. The soldiers erupted with unprecedented fervor, exclaiming, Thank you, my lord. Li Feng chuckled softly, contemplating that if one wishes to spur a horse to run, one must first allow it to graze. Similarly, to inspire unwavering loyalty in men, one must offer them some reward. Moderation is key. As he prepared to depart, Li Feng's expression suddenly shifted, his gaze fixing on the depths of the jungle, on high alert. Truly, these elite soldiers were remarkable. They swiftly drew their weapons, poised and vigilant against the lurking threats of the forest. Within moments, a figure clad in green burst forth from the trees, releasing arrows not aimed at men. Whoosh! A flurry of arrows pierced through the air, striking a saber-toothed tiger that had just emerged, but the creature, a 7th-tier beast, deflected them with a gust of wind. Li Feng felt a wave of relief wash over him as he summoned a radiant prison and a flame of light. A white shield enveloped the saber-toothed tiger, flames wrapping around its form. Without a roar, an enticing aroma wafted through the air. Truly impressive, Master Shirshu, Li Feng commended. The figure in green approached the soldiers and halted, introducing himself. I am Li Shizhen, and I am grateful for the life-saving assistance of this young lord. You are Li Shizhen, the physician? Li Feng inquired with enthusiasm. Despite having encountered numerous historical figures over the years, including the likes of Xiang Yu and Liu Bang, he could not suppress his excitement at meeting another renowned individual. Li Feng's exhilaration was understandable. In his future plans, the schools of MO and medicine would play significant roles. Yet he had yet to establish a close connection with either. If history held true, Li Shizhen would undoubtedly wield considerable influence within the medical community. Recognized as a genius in his 20s, Li Feng sought to befriend him, hoping to forge ties with the medical practitioners. Li Shizhen regarded the young lord with curiosity, pondering how someone of such distinguished lineage could be familiar with him. Indeed, I am Li Shizhen of the medical school. How does the young lord know of me? Li Feng replied cryptically. At the October Taishan conference, I had the honor of visiting the esteemed physicians Hua Tuo and Sun Simiao. Zhao Yun looked at Li Feng with confusion. My lord, did you truly meet the heads of the medical school? I have been by your side and was unaware. It is true that my lord visited the two esteemed physicians, but they were too occupied to meet him. Li Shizhen understood, realizing awe. So you have indeed met my master and uncle Sunday. Li Feng smirked inwardly, amused by the assumptions made. He had mentioned merely visiting, not actually meeting them. As for Li Shizhen's identity, while it was expected, it was also surprising. Based on his previous life's knowledge, Li Shizhen's prominence in the medical field was acceptable. Yet he had not anticipated him being a disciple of Hua Tuo. Wang Mang, while marveling at the youthful exuberance of Li Feng, found himself somewhat astonished by the unassuming Li Shizhen, perceiving him merely as an ordinary individual. Little did he know that this man was a descendant of the revered medical sage. It puzzled him how brotherly happened to be in the Shenanjia region. Of course, if there were no intention to disclose, brotherly need not feel compelled to share. Curiously, Li Feng inquired, to which Li Shizhen, blushing slightly, replied that there was nothing to conceal. He had been overly ambitious, aspiring to compile an extensive compendium of herbal medicines, and had journeyed to Shenanjia a few months prior. Li Feng expressed admiration, declaring that brotherly harbored grand aspirations, a noble endeavor that would undoubtedly benefit the populace. Should he succeed, his name would echo through the ages. I am in awe, he remarked. Li Shizhen, feeling somewhat bashful from the praise, humbly responded, You are too kind, my young friend. I seek not eternal renown, but merely wish to assist as many common folk as possible. Observing the sincerity in Li Shizhen's demeanor, Li Feng recognized the compassionate heart of a true healer and felt a deep respect for his noble lineage. As we share the same surname, brotherly, please refrain from calling me young master. Simply refer to me as Feng Di, he suggested warmly. Li Shizhen, slightly overwhelmed by Li Feng's enthusiasm, acquiesced and addressed him as Feng Di. Li Feng smiled. Ali de Gu. In the years to come, as the divine healer Li Shizhen reflected upon this day, he felt a twinge of embarrassment for being led by such a young lad, and yet, he found himself willingly tethered to this path for a lifetime. How had he ended up aboard the metaphorical ship of Li Feng? Despite it all, he felt a strange sense of contentment. Li Feng invited his newly appointed elder brother, Li Shizhen, to rest in his carriage to recuperate and, in the process, sought to unravel the reasons behind Li Shizhen's perilous encounter with the beastly creatures. Brother, you are not deceiving me, are you? Is it truly possible to bring the dead back to life? Li Feng asked eagerly. Li Shizhen offered a wry smile. Indeed. Feng Di, I scarcely believed it myself at first. Since the time of Shinnong, the flower of life had been thought extinct. It was only after thorough verification that I could confirm its existence. But how can this be? Li Feng pressed. You mentioned that since Shinnong's era, the Jianmu tree has not borne flowers with 12 petals, capable of such miraculous feats, 9 petals at most. Li Shizhen, equally perplexed, admitted, I too am uncertain. Discovering the Jianmu tree was already astonishing enough, but one day in June, to my astonishment, it blossomed, revealing buds with 12 petals. Being in close proximity to the flower of life, I ascended to the realm of the grand sorcerer. Ultimately, the fragrance of the flower of life attracted nearly all the beasts of Shenanjia. Sensing imminent danger, I fled, yet was still pursued by the creatures. Fortunately, my newfound power saved me from dire consequences. Li Feng furrowed his brow, sensing a disconnection in the truth of the matter, when suddenly, an epiphany struck him. I understand now, brotherly. You are referring to the blooming buds from that fateful day in June, correct? Li Shizhen, puzzled, replied, Yes, but what relevance does that hold? Li Feng clapped her hands, realizing the gravity of the situation. In June, the primal force had returned once, and I surmised that it was this very force that had awakened the tree of life. Li Shizhen appeared bewildered, unable to comprehend, prompting Li Feng to elucidate. The Shinnong clan had established the wood element, and during that era, the primal forces of wood were abundant, allowing the tree of life to blossom with vitality. However, the Qin Yuan clan introduced the metal element magic, which diminished the vigor of the wood element. Having grown accustomed to such an abundance, the tree of life struggled to produce the 12 petals of life. After the Twilight of the Saints, the world was devoid of primal forces, leading to the tree of life's subsequent decay. Yet, 6 months prior, the withered tree, stimulated by the primal force, had once again bloomed with a life-giving flower capable of resurrection. Regrettably, it eluded me, and my heart ached for it. Nevertheless, based on Li Feng's conjecture, in 10 years' time, the primal force would descend again, and the tree of life might once more yield its blossoms. Having missed this opportunity, I vowed never to miss the next. Chapter 10. The Little Lowly Intense and Spectacular. From a distant peak, Li Feng utilized a telescope to observe the fierce battle of the beasts in the Shinong Valley. A massive red serpent coiled around a colossal blue eagle, winds and flames swirling chaotically, scales shattered, feathers flying wildly. The clash between the giant tortoise and the monkey was a boiling cauldron of excitement, each punch landing squarely on the tortoise's shell, which retreated into its protective casing, enduring the blows passively, while the boulders beneath the tortoise crumbled under the impact. Li Feng scoffed, finding the display devoid of skill, akin to ruffians brawling, utterly foolish. Li Shizhen, astonished, fiddled with the telescope and mused aloud. Aren't there 5 pseudo-saint beasts? What about the remaining fox? Li Feng was momentarily taken aback, then lifted the telescope to observe. True to form, the fox demonstrated its cunning, understanding the art of concealment. When the clam and the heron contend, it is the fisherman who profits. It had calculated its moves well, but would I allow it to succeed? A sly smile creased Li Feng's face. Master, can you cast spells from here? Wang Mang inquired curiously. Indeed, what would you have me do? Cast a blinding spell to deprive them of sight for 3 breaths. Is that feasible, master? No problem. I have confidence in this, Wang Mang asserted. Li Feng exchanged a few words with Li Shizhen. The battling beasts were momentarily blinded by a sudden burst of brilliant light. Unnoticed by anyone, as a root stealthily plucked a blooming life flower and tossed it before the nine-tailed fox, which stared in stunned silence at the unfolding scene. When the light faded, the nine-tailed fox gazed at the life flower before shifting its attention to the furious eyes of the 4 pseudo-saint beasts. Anyone with a semblance of intelligence would know I am being wronged, but do these brutes possess any wit? The nine-tailed fox was certain that this mindless horde had underestimated who they dared to scheme against. Let them not discover this, or else. Now was not the time for overthinking. The nine-tailed fox seized the life flower and fled, casting a disdainful glance at the 4 dim-witted giants. Fools! If you have the ability, come chase me. The 4 pseudo-saint beasts comprehended the fox's contempt and, with a collective roar, charged after her, uprooting trees in their path, creating a cacophony of chaos within the Shinong region. As Li Feng observed the direction in which the nine-tailed fox had escaped, an inexplicable sensation washed over her. At a certain moment, the 4 pseudo-saint beings discovered that the nine-tailed fox had vanished. They rampaged through the Shinongjia region in vain, ultimately departing in frustration. 3 days later, at the treasure site of Zhang Jiao, Li Feng, Wang Mang, and Li Shizhen stood by the lakeside. Li Feng, curious about how the nine-tailed fox had found this space and managed to enter, dismissed the thought as unimportant. Brotherly, are you certain that the nine-tailed fox, having consumed the flower of life, will evolve into human form and temporarily lose its magical powers? Li Shizhen replied affirmatively. I gleaned this knowledge from the records of the Shinong clan. It is documented that Shinong, having no children, once encountered a gravely injured mythical bird, Jingwei. After feeding it the flower of life, Jingwei transformed into human form and recognized Shinong as its father, naming him Enhua. Li Feng was astonished. Isn't it said that Enhua transformed into Jingwei after her death? How could Jingwei become Enhua? Nevertheless, in this extraordinary world, such occurrences were not entirely surprising. However, mere accounts could not substantiate the claims of transformation into human form or the temporary loss of magical powers. Indeed, more importantly, when Emperor Yingzheng quelled the demon tribe in search of immortality, he invited my medical ancestors to explore the culture of the demon race. This knowledge was obtained from the demon culture, and it is a secret of my medical lineage. I hope you, Brother Feng and Mr. Wang, will keep it confidential. Li Shizhen earnestly stated. To entrust such a secret to me, brotherly, reflects your faith in me. I would never betray that trust by speaking indiscriminately, Li Feng replied. Just as he was about to express something significant, Li Shizhen interrupted. Brother Feng, you are exaggerating. These secrets are known to any pseudo-saint. I merely meant to advise caution in sharing. Li Feng's expression darkened slightly. With so many aware of it, he felt compelled to express his stance. Enough of this. It's exhausting. He opened a portal, and together with Wang Mang and Li Shizhen, they stepped inside. Li Feng rubbed his eyes as a beautiful 6-year-old girl in white attire appeared, pitifully clutching a handful of grass, with remnants of it at the corners of her mouth. Upon seeing Li Feng's arrival, she stood up in a huff, exclaiming, "Why are you so late? I've been waiting for 3 days. I'm starving. Is there anything to eat?" Li Feng was taken aback, bewildered by the situation. Before he could respond, the girl rushed over, hugging him tightly, her faint fragrance enchanting him. Her small nose sniffed around him, causing Li Feng's cheeks to redden. He grasped her restless hands, finding them soft and delicate. The little girl gazed at Li Feng with captivating eyes and pouted, "I'm hungry." Amused, Li Feng retrieved some restorative herbs from Li Shizhen, and the girl devoured them hungrily. After finishing, she did not break free from Li Feng's grasp, and with an air of authority, declared, "You schemed against me. I admit defeat. You may do as you please." Li Feng countered, "Why would I want to harm you?" The little girl, surprised, exclaimed, "You want to kill me? Are you going to let me go?" Li Feng shook his head, "That's impossible." The little girl was engulfed in fury. "You neither kill me nor release me. What exactly do you desire from me?" She fixed her gaze on Li Feng with a penetrating stare. "I want you to be my pet." "What did you say?" The voice rose like thunder. "I do not mind repeating myself. Be my pet," Li Feng replied nonchalantly. "What are you to demand such a thing? If it weren't for my depleted powers, I would have slain you," she retorted, her voice commanding and fierce. With disbelief, the little girl stared at Li Feng as he audaciously spanked her. Li Feng looked at her with a playful glint in his eyes. "Ah!" In a sudden burst of defiance, the little girl bit down on Li Feng's shoulder. "You're just a dog. No, you are the dog. Woe betide you. I am a 9-tailed fox. You dare strike me? I shall bite you to death." Wang Mang and Li Shizhen, standing to the side, found the scene quite amusing. The sounds of slapping and biting echoed around them. "Hiss!" Li Feng gasped, while Li Shizhen applied some ointment to Li Feng's shoulder. "That bite was rather fierce. I fear the imprint will linger." Li Feng looked speechlessly at the mischievous Li Shizhen. "I misjudged you, Li Shizhen. I never anticipated you to be so gossipy." "How is that girl?" Li Feng inquired, glancing at the little girl peacefully dozing on the ground. "She merely exhausted her spirit. A brief rest will suffice." Li Shizhen replied honestly. Li Feng sighed in relief. "That is good. I was worried it might not succeed. I am glad it went well." Curiously, Wang Mang asked Li Feng, "What spell did you just cast?" Li Feng replied enigmatically with 2 words, "Contract." This left Wang Mang and Li Shizhen deep in thought. This was a skill Li Feng had crafted, combining elements from his past life as a summoner with extensive knowledge gleaned from countless texts, particularly the Dark Grimoire. He had not anticipated its swift application, having contracted his first demon beast, a creature of pseudo-saintly realm. However, Li Feng also discerned the limitations of the contract magic. He could not bind an unlimited number of demon beasts. 3 was the maximum, and only those with extraordinary mental fortitude could manage 3. Any more would lead to a breakdown of control and spiritual backlash. Furthermore, there was no possibility of success in contracting a demon beast that surpassed the caster's spiritual realm by 2 levels, depending on circumstances. This was the conclusion Li Feng reached after casting the spell. Chapter 11. Robbery. Snow fell heavily, rendering the roads nearly impassable. Li Feng and his companions traversed the desolate, snow-laden world in silence. Inside the carriage, Li Feng chuckled at his pet, the Sioux fox. After a few days of playful antics, the Sioux fox had come to embrace its new identity. The Sioux fox remarked, with delightful food and engaging activities. "This is far superior to frolicking with those mindless brutes in Shenanjia." A true gourmand. With carefree abandon, the Sioux fox occasionally voiced its grievances. "Had I not sprinted so swiftly and consumed the flower of life, you would never have caught me." Li Feng was taken aback, inwardly thinking, "You fool. I once believed you were clever, but I overestimated you. After spending 3 additional days outside, I am truly defeated by your foolishness." Along the way, Li Feng and the little fox, Su Hu, engaged in a lively exchange of banter, making the journey far from lonely. On this particular day, as the carriage came to a halt, Li Feng, who had been resting with his eyes closed, opened them with a slight smile, finding the situation amusing. "Halt. This road belongs to my lord, and this tree was planted by him. If you wish to pass, leave your toll," came a brazen and servile voice. Zhao Yun, Wei Qing, and the soldiers guarded the carriage, standing alert as they eyed a ragtag group of beggars. No, bandits. At the forefront stood a young girl, around 13, riding a giant wolf with a coat as red as fire, wielding a curved dagger and declaring with a clear voice, "Robbery. Does this charming young lady intend to rob me of my virtue?" Li Feng teased from atop the carriage. The bandit leader, without hesitation, responded with bravado, robbery? I seize everything. Li Feng chuckled, but I have no desire to become the husband of a mountain bandit king. Why not become my concubine instead? That would certainly be preferable to your current role. You wretched little thief, with your sweet words. The flustered bandit king retorted angrily. Huh, little firecracker. Your crew is no match for me. However, I can offer you an opportunity. Let us wager. If I lose, considering how long you've gone without food, I shall provide you with provisions and some wealth. What do you say? Li Feng was no saint, but he didn't mind lending a hand within his means. This group, gaunt and emaciated, was clearly driven to banditry by the harsh winter and lack of food. The girl's eyes lit up. Really? Quickly tell me what the wager is. I accept. Not so fast. Tell me your name first, and then I will reveal the terms of the wager, Li Feng said, genuinely intrigued by the girl. I am Zhu, she declared. An excellent name, Li Feng praised. However, I have spoken of my loss. What if I were to win? What would be the outcome then? That hardly seems fair, does it? Zhu frowned. What do you propose I must give if I lose? Li Feng grinned, asserting. It's quite simple. Should you lose, you must pledge your loyalty to me, and I will extend my protection to your followers, ensuring they receive stable provisions to survive. Do you agree? Furious, Zhu shot back. You, a mere child, wish to claim me? I accept. The girl was resolute. I shall not take advantage of you. Fair maiden, Zhao Yun. At your service, Zhao Yun responded, stepping forward. This is my subordinate, 14 years of age, a martial artist of considerable skill, on par with you. If you defeat him, it shall be considered my loss. What do you say? Zhu regarded Zhao Yun with a smile. Very well, but do not regret your decision. Then it's settled. Let the contest begin, Li Feng announced. Apologies, Zhao Yun said as he mounted his horse and galloped away, spear in hand, as a tempest swept through. Zhu had already placed significant emphasis on Zhao Yun, yet was taken aback by Zhao Yun's assault. Instantly, she raised her dual blades, barely managing to deflect Zhao Yun's spear. The tempest swirling around the weapon, cutting into her with the sharpness of an arrow. Flames erupted from her dual blades, striking towards Zhao Yun like fiery serpents. Zhao Yun, with a swift motion, coiled his spear, the tempest enveloping it like a tornado, shattering the fiery serpents into oblivion. The whirlwind entwined with Zhu's curved blade, and the spear's tip pierced through, forcing Zhu to bend her waist perilously to evade the blow, a few strands of her hair severed by the spear's edge. Seizing the moment, Zhu executed a fierce horizontal slash, flames engulfing her curved blade as it sliced towards Zhao Yun. Zhao Yun elevated his spear, its shaft blocking her onslaught. A few dark streaks marred the armor at Zhao Yun's waist, and he pondered with trepidation. If I had been a moment slower, would I have been cleaved in two? He realized he had underestimated her prowess. Splendid. A truly remarkable display, Li Feng praised. Zhao Yun, stifling a surge of frustration within, was momentarily startled by Li Feng's words. Nearly sustaining injury in the heat of battle. Your Highness, which faction do you hail from? I am but your subordinate. You little lowly enthusiast. On the battlefield, blades clashed and winds roared. The combat was fierce and enthralling, capturing the attention of all present. Zhao Yun was wholly focused on countering the onslaught, battling with great difficulty against Zhu's formidable prowess as a sorceress martial artist, compounded by the strength of her inferno wolves. Zhao Yun found himself struggling to keep pace, especially with Li Feng's disruptive presence nearby, where a moment's inattention could lead to his downfall. Yet, without pressure, there is no impetus. Under such duress, Zhao Yun, at the pinnacle of sorceress martial artistry, ascended in battle to become a grand sorceress martial artist. Li Feng chuckled heartily. Ah, truly, he is my son, the dragon. Zhu retreated, conceding, I yield. Recognizing her own limitations, she acknowledged that, with Li Feng's support, she had battled Zhao Yun to a standstill. But against his newly attained status as a grand sorceress martial artist, she would stand no chance. Zhao Yun humbly replied, I appreciate your courtesy. My subordinate has fulfilled his mission. I have triumphed in this contest, and I thank your highness for your guidance, Zhao Yun expressed gratefully. Li Feng chuckled. As long as Zilong is content, I am pleased. Zhu, you have lost the wager. From this day forth, you are in my service. Bring forth provisions for them. Reluctantly, Zhu bowed to Li Feng, who was in high spirits. You little lowly enthusiast, always yearning for the young ones, Su Hu remarked sternly. Li Feng's expression darkened, prompting Su Hu to stick out her tongue and retreat to indulge in her food. Li Feng snatched Su Hu's snacks and offered them to Zhu. You wicked fiend, stealing my treats, Su Hu cried. Zhu, compelled by Li Feng, reluctantly accepted the snacks, feeling embarrassed, and then returned them to Su Hu. Haha, my dear sister. You are the best. Sister must also partake. Su Hu grinned, enjoying the delightful conversation with Zhurong, who referred to her as sister. Li Feng felt a pang of embarrassment for Su Hu, the centuries-old fox spirit, still trying to feign youthfulness. He was quite vexed, having suddenly realized that he was not a lowly enthusiast, yet it seemed that others perceived him as such. He is merely 6 years old, yet already possesses 8 little girls. Li Feng discovered that he had transitioned from playing conquest games to nurturing games. Oh heavens! Chapter 12. The Great Archmage. Soft beds, cotton quilts, tables, chairs, light bulbs, and various modern amenities were arranged within the room. These were the fruits of Li Feng's 4 years of relentless effort. He had invented a generator and, in collaboration with an alchemist, devised the light bulb. The bulb, which did not require magic stones, replaced the illumination that previously necessitated a primary magic stone each day. Through the sale of generators and bulbs, Li Feng amassed a considerable reserve of magic stones. As Xiliang entered the electric age, Li Feng constructed numerous streetlights, allowing the night to radiate with the brilliance of day. The citizens, no longer constrained by darkness, engaged in handicrafts late into the night. Seated cross-legged on his bed, Li Feng meditated, attuning himself to the elemental forces of the universe, while Zhao Yun stood guard outside, safeguarding Li Feng's moment of breakthrough. The vibrant elements danced through the realm, with Li Feng harnessing the power of the thunder element, absorbing the rare purple essence. Only during thunderstorms did the thunder element saturate the atmosphere. In its absence, it was a mere scarcity. Had it not been for Li Feng's promotion of generators, Xiliang's thunder element could hardly rival the other elements. Countless purple elements were absorbed by Li Feng, enveloping him in a thin veil of purple energy. As he absorbed the thunder element, ominous clouds gathered overhead at the Li residence. Zhao Yun, astonished, gazed at the sky. This was the moment of Li Feng's ascension to Great Archmage. Capable of invoking the might of heaven and altering the weather, truly extraordinary, especially with winter fast approaching. At the pinnacle of elemental accumulation, a thunderous roar erupted, signaling Li Feng's breakthrough to the Great Archmage. It felt as though he had undergone a profound transformation. He sensed an expansion in his control over elemental forces, and his mental prowess reached the zenith of legend. In the process of transcending legendary status, his mental strength had to surpass the Holy Realm. Li Feng contemplated. Congratulations, Your Highness, on your ascension to Great Archmage, Zhao Yun said, his heart heavy. When he first encountered Li Feng, the latter was merely a mage warrior. For years had passed, and Li Feng had ascended to Great Archmage while he remained a mage instructor. At just 18, Zhao Yun lamented the fickleness of fate. Li Feng, however, was filled with joy. Having attained the status of Great Archmage, he no longer needed to fear for his life unless a pseudo-Holy Realm adversary intervened. Indeed, I am quite pleased. This evening, summon Jia Su, Su Shu, Wei Qing, Yu Fei, Zhu Rong, Zhang Liao, and Zhang Ren for a gathering. We shall also discuss the path ahead, Li Feng declared. Understood. Shall we have hot pot again? Zhao Yun inquired. Li Feng chuckled. You glutton. Very well. Let us indulge in hot pot. Wei Zifu attended to Li Feng's post-bathing routine, meticulously grooming his long hair. How bothersome. I truly wish to cut my hair. Li Feng grumbled, expressing his irritation with his lengthy locks. Would the prince dare to cut it? Wei Zifu replied with a light laugh. Having served as Li Feng's personal maid for 4 years, his easygoing nature allowed Wei Zifu to jest with him freely. With newfound audacity, Li Feng hesitated to cut his hair, acutely aware of his lineage. His father was a Confucian heir, and his grandfather a contemporary luminary of Confucianism. Li Feng firmly believed that should he dare to shear his locks, it would undoubtedly result in dire consequences. In a moment of vexation, he pondered the whereabouts of that impish boy, Huatsubing. Wei Zifu, with an air of pride, proclaimed that he had now mastered the realm of magical apprentices and had recently become enamored with magical arrays. As Li Feng engaged in conversation with Wei Zifu, the hours slipped away until nightfall. In the grand hall of the Li residence, Li Feng was surrounded by Wei Zifu, Su Hu, Jia Su, Su Shu, Wei Qing, Yu Fei, Zhu Rong, Zhang Liao, and Zhang Ren, all gathered around a lavish table adorned with an array of dishes and a large pot. Over the past 4 years, Su Hu had developed a fondness for being by Li Feng's side, indulging in the delightful fare provided. Living a carefree life untroubled by the challenges posed by monstrous beasts, though the latter did not intimidate him, it remained an annoyance. Jia Su, upon Li Feng's return to Xiliang, had visited and was subsequently taken under Li Feng's wing. This strategist, whose prowess rivaled that of Li Feng's father, had now attained legendary status. Su Shu, having fled to Xiliang following a homicide in the year 988 of the magical era, was discovered by Li Feng while studying at Huaxia University. Li Feng introduced him to Jia Su, and Su Shu had since become his disciple. The reunion with Yu Fei brought Li Feng immense joy. His brother, Niu Gao, had encountered Yu Fei during his travels and forged a friendship. When Niu Gao excitedly relayed this to Li Feng the following day, Li Feng welcomed Yu Fei and his family to the Li residence, where Yu Fei now served as a master of earth-based magical martial arts. Zhang Liao had been recruited by Li Feng's subordinates, who merely suggested that he work under Li Feng's command, to which Zhang Liao readily acquiesced. Zhang Ren, a senior disciple of Zhao Yun, was invited to join Li Feng's ranks after an unplanned meeting during Zhao Yun's training. Li Feng held a steadfast belief that Su Shu, Zhao Yun, Wei Qing, Yu Fei, Zhang Liao, Zhu Rong, and Zhang Ren would undoubtedly ascend to legendary status in the future. However, this was insufficient. The Golden Age was on the horizon, and mere legend would no longer suffice to dominate the continent. The era of the sacred rank was approaching, and the battles between nations would hinge upon the mastery of this newfound power. The evening's banquet was convened to devise a 6-month plan for Li Feng's future. The Great Yuan army would soon arrive, and it was imperative to establish their authority and ensure their compliance, making it abundantly clear that while the Han nation had suffered defeat, Xiliang remained under Li Feng's dominion, and they were not to exert their influence there. More crucially, the matter of conscription was addressed. Yu Fei's Xuanwu army, Wei Qing's Zhuke army, Zhao Yun's Qilin army, Zhang Liao's Xiliang Iron Cavalry, Zhu Rong's Beast Legion, and Zhang Ren's Long Spear army all needed to bolster their forces from 3,000 to 10,000. Furthermore, Li Feng recognized the necessity of establishing a cabinet and a military affairs office, appointing Jia Su and Su Shu as cabinet members, with Wei Qing and Yu Fei serving as ministers of military affairs. The cabinet would focus on governance, while the military affairs office would oversee the army, creating a clear division between politics and military operations. Having outlined this grand strategy, the banquet concluded. The next day, Li Feng summoned Jia Su and Su Shu, presenting them with a blueprint and a notebook, inquiring if they could complete the task within a month. After reviewing the materials, Jia Su and Su Shu were astonished and declared, "Your Highness, you are indeed a prodigy. I find myself lacking in comparison." Li Feng chuckled lightly. "This prince is well aware of his own talents and does not require your praises. Can it be completed in a month?" "Yes, it shall not disappoint the prince's expectations." "Excellent. I hope to witness a brand new Xiliang in a month's time." Li Feng personally escorted Jia Su and Su Shu to the door, leaving them profoundly moved. After bidding farewell to Jia Su and Su Shu, Li Feng found himself somewhat bored, with his subordinates managing affairs and having just ascended to the rank of Grand Sorcerer. He understood the importance of balancing work and relaxation. Reclining in a rocking chair, Wei Zifu gently massaged Li Feng, who was lulled into a state of comfort and drowsiness. Just as he was about to drift off, he was abruptly awakened by a subordinate, inciting his ire. However, he could hardly blame them, for he had mandated that any news from the Academy of Sciences must be reported to him immediately, regardless of his activities, with the promise of reward for compliance. Upon hearing his subordinate announce that the Academy had successfully created the items specified by the prince, Li Feng, still somewhat dazed, nodded in acknowledgement. Suddenly, a thought struck him, and he exclaimed in surprise, "What did you say? The Academy has produced it? Quickly, I must see it for myself." Chapter 13. The Magic Energy Engine. In the year 988 of the magical era, the Academy of Sciences was established at Huaxia University, with Li Feng serving as the director and Shun Kuo as the vice-director. The alchemy teachers and students comprised the staff of the academy. Over the past 2 years, many groundbreaking inventions had emerged under Li Feng's guidance and Shun Kuo's leadership. Shun Kuo, a native of Song, found himself in a tumultuous political landscape as the Song dynasty was undergoing significant changes. To protect the legacy of the Mo family, some of its members, including Shun Kuo, were entrusted to Li Feng, a considerable boon for him. Historically, Shun Kuo was regarded as a great scientist in Huaxia, with notable achievements across various fields. Presently, he was also one of the most distinguished disciples of the Mo family. At the academy, Shun Kuo awaited Li Feng's arrival, his admiration for Li Feng evident. The Mo family situation had deteriorated, becoming increasingly marginalized, and Shun Kuo's greatest aspiration was to lead them to resurgence. Having been forced to abandon their stronghold and flee to Xiliang, his mood was understandably grim. In his despondency, Shun Kuo encountered Li Feng, whose innovative ideas and extensive knowledge profoundly impressed him. From Li Feng's words, Shun Kuo glimpsed a promising future for the Mo family. and Li Feng's vision instilled him with boundless confidence. Thus, when Li Feng requested Qin Shi to serve as vice director of the academy, he readily acquiesced. Proudly accepting the role, Qin Shi had learned much from Li Feng over the past 2 years, considering him a mentor and a guiding light in his life. Qin Shi, lead me to see the creations you have developed. Li Feng eagerly grasped Qin Shi's hand. Yes, we await the prince's inspection, Qin Shi replied with delight. After 2 years of relentless effort, countless resources expended, and numerous failed experiments, they finally succeeded in creating the engine that the prince had spoken of, and naturally, joy filled the air. A large group of people stood in the courtyard, gazing at the 3-meter-high, phoenix-shaped metallic structure in the center. Qin Shi, is this the engine you have crafted? Li Feng inquired, a hint of confusion in his voice. Indeed, Your Highness, this is the first successful engine, Qin Shi replied. Li Feng felt a sense of conflict. Why would it take the form of a phoenix? Nevertheless, he said, all right, please introduce it then. Qin Shi refrained from expressing that he wished to flatter Li Feng, for this was an invention that could alter the course of an era and would surely be recorded in history. The first phoenix-shaped engine would inevitably pique the curiosity of future generations, who would want to know why it bore such a form, which naturally tied back to Li Feng, a chance for eternal legacy that Qin Shi would not foolishly articulate. This engine absorbs the magical elements of the world and converts them into different forms of energy. However, it still has significant flaws, as it can only convert 50% of the energy, resulting in considerable waste, Qin Shi lamented. Li Feng chuckled and reassured him. This is merely the first generation. Naturally, it has its shortcomings. We will rectify these flaws. Currently, it stands at 50%, but in the future, we shall surely achieve 60, 70, or even a complete 100% conversion, leaving no energy wasted. You are correct, Your Highness. We will strive to perfect the engine, Qin Shi and his colleagues solemnly affirmed. Li Feng nodded in satisfaction, reflecting that the era of machinery was about to dawn. The work on perfecting the engine must not be neglected. Now that it has been invented, with the major issue of mechanical energy resolved, it is time to put it to use. We must not forget to produce mechanical tools, Li Feng reminded. Qin Shi responded, understood, Your Highness. We have already begun manufacturing based on the blueprints you provided. In approximately a month, we should be able to produce the items depicted in the blueprint-labeled car. Good. Well done, Li Feng exclaimed, his eyes wide with excitement as he looked at Qin Shi. Qin Shi, puzzled by the prince's enthusiasm, nonetheless felt a sense of joy at the praise. Li Feng was, of course, elated. He had always had a passion for cars in his previous life, and the prospect of their creation thrilled him. However, soon he was troubled by the state of the roads. These roads are terrible, bumpy, and uneven. Driving will surely be quite unpleasant. It seems that road repairs must be prioritized, and cement production should commence, he thought. In high spirits, Li Feng generously rewarded the members of the Academy of Sciences. That afternoon, he and the scholars enjoyed a splendid feast at the 5-star restaurant he owned.